Okay, Wendy, the recording is in process. Let's rock and roll. Today is January the 6th, 2023. New year, new me.
That's right, Trey. New year, new us.
We don't know if that's true or not. It does sound good, and it actually rhymes.
Right.
And one thing that was on my mind, I know this is kind of off subject. I was thinking about it on the way to work. I want to know why places that you get your hair cut, like Great Clips, Super Clips, whatever they all are, why don't they have a thing where it's like, hey, a $10 trim?
Right.
I want a $10 trim, not a beard trim, not any other. I want my hair trimmed for $10.
Right.
And I'll tip you $5. I'll tip you $5, so it's a $15 spend. But it's like, because my hair, I like my hair one week, and then the next week I don't like it, but I don't really need a haircut. Okay.
You just need a trend. That's the problem. And nowadays places don't do that unless you have a regular person that cuts your hair.
Yeah. So anyway,
you've got to find a hairdresser. That's what you've got to do.
A hairdresser.
I
just want my hair trimmed, Wendy. I mean, can a man get his hair trimmed in 2023 without having to pay for a full cut?
Right. That's right. But that's what you got to do, Trey. It's 2023. Everybody's changing the rules on you. Everybody.
Changing the rules. All right, Wendy, let's get into it. Wendy, last weekend was just one of the more epic weekends of the year.
Yep.
And Wendy, where do you want to start? How do you want to get this ball rolling? Listen, I'm just telling you right now, I'm super on edge. I'm selling insurance. I got to stay focused on selling insurance. I'm in Alabama, personal, home, auto, umbrella, small commercial, all that. And I'm talking about it's hammered down. We got to get this done. So I love doing this. We have got to get through this. Where do you want to start?
Well, we have to start, and we have to apologize to the Kansas State coach and his wife, apparently, because they did nothing wrong. Okay. This guy he talked zero smack. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He didn't say anything about the SEC or Saban, and they actually went out there and they got blown away by us, which is probably what he thought would happen. But to his wife and to that coach, it was not you. It was Sonny from the TCU. And I do want to touch on that a minute, just for 2 seconds. I kind of believe that Sonny had a right to say it because he was talking about Georgia. And I don't care what anybody says. Georgia didn't play anybody this year until Ohio State. They didn't play anybody this year. And I think what he was trying to say was that Georgia really didn't have a schedule this year. I think that's what he was trying to say. But he didn't say that, right? Because if you look at Georgia's schedule, they played Oregon, sure, but that was the first or second game of the year, right? Both teams don't really have all the juice yet. So in Sonny's defense, Georgia hasn't played anybody until they played Ohio State. Best game of the year so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, so let's scope this back down. Let's just talk about each game, and we might as well talk about let's talk about the Alabama Kansas State game. So the Alabama Kansas State game, what Wendy was just referring to last week, we went off on a rant thinking the Kansas State coach, and how do you say his name? Is it Kilman?
Kilman.
All right, Kilman. The Kansas State coach had talked smack about the SEC schedule, and me and Wendy literally had a 15-minute conversation blasting him.
Right.
What Wendy just said and what we're saying is he is not the guy that said that. It was TCU. And Wendy, why I think that's so important is they're both purple.
Right. They're both purple.
I think I saw purple and associated purple with Kansas State, but purple is with TCU too. I don't know what it is with the purple stuff. But getting into the Alabama football game, Wendy, they roll out there. It's 12 o'clock on New Year's Eve. We're on your back porch. Yep. Everybody's ready to go. Kansas State comes out. They've got fans down there rocking and rolling, rocking the dome down there. And when they come out and get up 10-0 early, and we are all looking around like, what's going on?
And what do you do? Because I was a nervous wreck by this point. We've got our starters in, right? So nobody's opted out except for the people that have hit the transfer portal. And we've got all of our starters, and they're up 10-0. You know, for me, it was the nerve-wracking part was, are we going to come out and look like Alabama's looked all year, right? But let me tell you something. That only lasted about a quarter, because once we turned it on, we turned it on. That's the best I've seen Bryce Young play since that Tennessee game. That's the best I've seen him play since that Tennessee game.
Yeah,
he was on fire.
Yeah, really proud of Alabama. And listen,
Yes.
I'll give credit to Kansas State too. Listen, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you came out there, you gave it a hard effort. You know, that's what it's all about. Unfortunately, Alabama just has too much, but
Yeah.
Kansas State represented very well. Their players played hard.
Yes, they did.
And this is kind of a point that I really want to make. And we made this last year. I really applaud all these players that go out there and really lay it on the line for us for entertainment.
Right.
I mean, it is a brutal game, as we kind of picked up on this Bills Cincinnati game with that guy getting really hurt in the middle of the field. It's just a very good reminder that these kids go out there and lay their bodies on the line, basically, you know, for them and for many other reasons. For us, it's entertainment. And definitely appreciate it 100%.
Yes.
Kansas State gave great effort. Alabama came out there and gave great effort.
Yeah, they did.
Proud to see Alabama come back, have a little class, have a little gumption about them, and do what they were supposed to do. Bryce Young, Will Anderson really left a great mark on our team amongst other players on Alabama's team. There's so many players, and I'm sure there is for Kansas State too. So happy to see Alabama get the win.
Yes.
Happy to see us dominate a little bit. And Wendy, I do have one quick thing. I sent out a text this morning to Chris Arnold's text group.
Yep.
And what did he say? Let's see. Sorry about that. All right, so we're going to read this out. Chris Arnold wanted to say, let's hope Saban gets a little more fire back in his belly this year and carries that momentum forward throughout. He's not as fierce as he used to be.
He's not.
Chris thinks he's softening up. Most people do, but that doesn't mean we still can't go win, and Nick Saban's still not as fierce. So he is really pumped up, and he says RMFT.
That's right, Chris Arnold, RMFT. I agree completely. And here's the thing, guys, it was an off year. Okay. I don't know how we want to put it. I don't think our receivers did well. I don't think that they all came to the table this year to play. I don't think there was enough consistency. Bryce Young getting hurt and then having to come back and play hurt. A lot of that, our backup quarterback, we're all used to having these prolific backup quarterbacks now that come in and win these ball games for us. And we just don't have that this year, right? We didn't have that backup quarterback that could come in and really keep us going, right? So we had to put Bryce back in probably before he was ready to go. But the bottom line on that Kansas State game, and I said it in the first quarter, they will never be able to hang with Bama by the end of that fourth quarter. And that is what happens when you come and play a team like Alabama. You may be able to get up a little bit on us at the beginning, but conditioning, they have nothing on us. But I'm with you. Great job, Kansas State. I love to end my season on a win. And let's go 2023 Alabama football. But next year, we got to move to that Michigan game.
You want to move to the Michigan? No, let's do Tennessee Clemson.
I forgot about Tennessee Clemson.
Yeah. Oh, everybody forgets about Tennessee Clemson, winning Tennessee Clemson in the Orange Bowl, of the most orange of orange games. Tennessee comes out and wins the game 31-14. Wendy, Tennessee did what they need to do.
Yes.
Built a good quarterback. Clemson's got a little work to do, and Tennessee is who we thought they were. They came out, really kind of dominated the game, pulled away a little bit late. You know, go Vols, GVG, and they're riding the wave. And they're riding the wave into next year. What do you think, Wendy?
Well, the game, they had to win it. And I'll tell you, it was a closer game than we thought it was. I mean, when I started mosey on back to the bedroom, it was 14-14. So I want to make that part very, very clear. It was a closer game at the beginning of this game, but of course, Tennessee did what Tennessee does best, and they ran away with it. Listen, end of the day, they had more they needed to win. I think they needed to win more than Clemson did, and they went out and proved that. They had to win that ball game for the rankings going into next year. It's what they needed, right? Hooker's leaving.
I gotta stop you. I know I'm edgy today. I'm amped up. I've been working out this week. I'm feeling some vibes. I have no idea why you always mention rankings. It blows my mind. Like, what does rankings have to do?
Has to do with everything. Okay, well, if you're ranked in the beginning, you know, at the beginning of the year, and me and you go back and forth about this all the time, but if you're ranked in the top 10 at the beginning of the season, then you're ranked in the top 10. They're talking about you. They're going to game day on you. They're showing up with the TVs and the media crews. So you want to be talked about, right? Do you want to be talked about? I do. So I have to be in the top 10 to be talked about, right? So I'm going to stay in the top 10, Trey.
Okay.
You can be a loser and get out of the top 10, and they won't talk about you until you figure out a way to win a big ball game.
Okay. I'm with you. The ranking thing throws me off every time.
Right.
It throws me off every time. And
Well,
that's
I want to
fine.
be high ranked. I want to be ranked between 1 and 4 right when we walk in. I never really want to be ranked number 1. I don't want Alabama ranked number 1, but 2 to 4, I'm good with.
All right, good deal. I'm with you. All right, let's get to it. TCU, Michigan, Wendy. TCU, Michigan goes off right after the Alabama game. We're rolling into New Year's Eve. And TCU comes out there. Wendy wins the game 51-45. Wendy, and TCU is playing for the national championship. Michigan's quarterback throws 2 pick sixes.
Yeah, he does.
Michigan has a terrible call.
They did.
The non-touchdown, which was a touchdown.
It was a touchdown.
I don't know how you call that a touchdown on the field, review it, and then take it away. If they would have called it not a touchdown on the field, I could have understood, but they called it a touchdown on the field. That wasn't SEC crew. I thought that was a terrible call.
It was a terrible call.
The next play, Michigan ends up fumbling the football. Michigan stays in this game. TCU applied the pressure. Let me tell you something. Last couple of weeks, I was like, oh, TCU lost. The air is going to be let out of them. Yep. Michigan's going up. Yeah, that was all a lie.
That was a lie.
That was all a lie. I know you lie.
Your lips are moving.
The exact opposite happened, and TCU is a bona fide, really good team, because this is what I told you.
I tried to tell you, you don't want to listen to anybody. You don't want to listen to me.
No.
You don't want to listen to me.
So real quick. So I have TCU as these really good teams that lose, they normally bounce back. Well, guess what? TCU bounces back in a big way, sneaks out of there with a 51-45 win, Wendy. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I was not a believer in TCU, but let me tell you something. The 2 best teams are playing, and you were right. What do you say?
I mean, Trey, I just want to say I was right. I just want to make sure you know that I said TCU was going to beat Michigan. I also want everybody to remember that Harbaugh, y'all, he literally flails every time he gets to the big show. He's never been able to pull one out. So why y'all thought you had a chance to begin with, I will never know. You need a new coach. He's never going to take you to the big dance. He's never going to get you there. He can get you to that top 4, but he can't get you to the big dance. That's all I want you to know. But here's the thing about TCU, Trey. The whole world loves them. The whole country loves them. They were the Cinderella team, of the season, which is great, right? That's what we wanted to see. That's what we love as a country. So for me, Trey, TCU went out and did exactly what I thought they'd do, which was won. They won. But I'm with you. The only bad thing about that game was that call. It was one of the worst calls I've seen all year in college football. And we had a few this year. This was bad. And I just hate that it happened in that big of a game. I still think TCU would have won it. That is my true heart. I believe TCU still would have won it, but I really do hate that happened. But let's go TCU. Let's go win a natty. Not really, because go SEC, but you know what I mean?
Congratulations, TCU, and this team is the real deal, Holyfield, and we'll have to get to that in a little while. Wendy, let's bounce down to this, the Ohio State-Georgia game. What's up, New Year's?
Y'all.
Wendy, Ohio State, we talked about it last week, and I think one of my big keys was if Ohio State comes out and really punches Georgia in the mouth, what's Georgia going to do? If Ohio State comes out there and says, what's up, let's get down with the get down, what's Georgia going to do? Well, guess what happened in this football game? When Ohio State comes out and says, what's up? You ready to get down? We're ready to get down.
Yep.
They get down 14 points, Georgia does, and Ohio State's rocking and rolling, and this looks terrible for Georgia. But let me tell you something about the Georgia Bulldogs. Yep. These guys said, okay, is that all you got? We're going to keep punching too. Yep. And guess what? Georgia played one of the more epic games. Ohio State keeps scoring. Georgia keeps coming back. And at the end, Wendy, what we all kind of see is the Ohio State missing the kick late, which the craziest part about the whole thing was he's literally kicking this at 12 o'clock.
I know.
And we're all like, Happy New Year. Is he going to make it? He's going to miss it.
Yep.
The kid ends up missing it, which is kind of, hard for him. But hey, that's life of the field goal kicker. Yep. But Wendy, Georgia answered the call and said, we can get punched in the mouth and come back. Georgia's the real deal.
And Georgia's the real deal. Georgia's the number one. Georgia's the number 1 team in the country, y'all. And I want the TCU game to be big, but I'm going to tell you something. Georgia proved right there on that Ohio State game. They are the best team in the country. They've not played anybody all year. Nobody's convinced me they played anybody all year. So their first competition, in my opinion, was Ohio State. That was their very first big competition. And let me tell you what Stetson Bennett does. Stetson Bennett goes out and decides to look like a prolific quarterback Like, he's 87 years old, by the way, everybody. He's at least 25 or 26. I don't know how old this kid is, but he's an adult. He is not a kid. He is an adult. And I'm going to tell you something. They looked so good, but it was the best game. That was my big thing. It was a phenomenal game, Trey. I was up pacing this house. I didn't know what I wanted to happen at that point. Trey, at 2 points, I think I wanted Ohio State to win. It was that crazy for me. And I'm such an SEC fan. But there was at one point where I was like, maybe Ohio State deserves it. You know what I mean? What would it look like an Ohio State and TCU game? You know what I mean? But that's not what happened. The SEC does what the SEC does best, and we win ball games. That's what we do.
And Georgia definitely won a big game there. I think Kirby Smart said maybe Ohio State deserved to win the game, but it's not who deserves to win the game, it's who wins the game.
That's
and
right.
The Georgia Bulldogs won the game, Wendy, and I am running out of time. Wendy, what else do you want to talk about?
That's it. I mean, Trey, we've got one game left of this whole entire football season as far as college goes. I don't think we talk about it today. I think we wait till Monday since we've got the time. But here's the bottom line, guys. For this last big push of college football, those 4 games, the Clemson, Tennessee, Alabama, Kansas State, Michigan, TCU, and that Ohio State, Georgia game, y'all, those were some of the 4 best games I've seen all year. I mean, it was just a great end of the way to end the football season. I hate that Alabama wasn't in it, but we get to watch Georgia, and that's who we need to be pulling for is Georgia. Let's go Bulldogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
All right, Wendy. Hey, listen, I love you. You got anything else you want to say? Because I'm going to jump off here.
That's it. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. Wendy, I love you. Thank you for putting up with me today. You can tell that I am.
Yeah, you're edgy. Sell you some insurance.
I'm rocking and rolling. Hey, I love you. I'll call you.
Love you. Roll Tide.
Hey, let me roll Tide. Listen, we're going to jump back on here on Monday, which is National Championship game. And really what I want to do is I want to go through predictions again, even though Alabama's not in it. So I'm going to be sending out some texts. You send out some texts. And what we'll do is we'll read live people's predictions. We might come on after the National Championship game like we did last year and kind of rehash it real quick. And Wendy, sometimes that might slow down some of our pods, but that is our intent. Everybody out there, keep rocking and rolling. I love you, and I'm jumping off here.
Love you. Roll Tide.
Peace.